She was just a young woman walking confidently through the naval base, wearing a uniform she wasn't officially authorized to wear. Guards stopped her, suspicious. Orders were called. Arrest seemed inevitable, until the Admiral's eyes fell on the patch on her shoulder. What they saw changed everything, and revealed a story no one expected. The morning sun glinted off the polished rails of the naval base, casting long shadows across the concrete walkways. She moved with calm precision, her uniform crisp, her boots clicking against the ground. To anyone passing by, she seemed like any other officer on duty. But something about her presence made the guards pause. "Hold it right there," one of the officers barked, stepping forward. His hand hovered near his holster as his eyes scanned her badge and insignia. "Identification, ma'am." She stopped, maintaining steady eye contact, and lifted her credentials. But the officer frowned, shaking his head. This doesn't look right. You're not on today's roster. What are you doing on base?" A small crowd had begun to gather, drawn by the tension in the air. Whispers spread through the group, suspicion, curiosity, and the faint thrill of scandal. She could feel the weight of every gaze, but her expression never faltered. "I'm here on official orders," she said evenly, but her words were met with skepticism. "Official orders? From who?" one of the guards demanded. The standoff escalated quickly, voices rising, radios crackling as security called for backup. Hands raised slowly, she stayed calm. She had faced tighter spots before. Yet, for the first time that day, a flicker of doubt crossed her mind. Was the patch on her shoulder really enough to stop this from becoming a full-blown arrest? The officers exchanged uneasy glances. One muttered, "We need to detain her until the Admiral gets here." Two more guards stepped closer, a firm grip on her arms, ready to escort her to the holding area. But just as the tension reached its peak, a voice cut through the commotion, authoritative, measured, and impossible to ignore. "Step aside." All eyes turned. The Admiral himself had arrived, his sharp gaze sweeping over the scene. Silence fell like a heavy curtain. The crowd held its breath. Guards froze, unsure whether to comply or continue the arrest. And then, the Admiral's eyes landed on her shoulder, on the patch. A pause. A recognition. A slow, deliberate nod. Everything changed in that instant. As the crowd watched in stunned silence, she stood perfectly still, letting the Admiral's gaze do the talking. Inside, however, her mind raced. This wasn't just about being on base. It was about proving that every step she had taken to get here mattered. Her journey had begun years ago, long before anyone here would recognize her name. She had trained in secret programs, the kind of assignments that never appeared on official rosters, missions classified beyond most people's comprehension. She had endured grueling physical drills, endless tactical simulations, and exercises designed to push even the most experienced officers to their limits. And yet, she had excelled, sometimes in ways her instructors hadn't anticipated. It hadn't been easy. While others celebrated small victories or promotions, she often found herself on the sidelines, her accomplishments invisible, unacknowledged. But she had learned a crucial lesson early on. Recognition wasn't earned through applause, it was earned through results. Quiet, calculated, effective results. Her uniform, while seemingly ordinary, carried layers of meaning. Each patch and insignia represented a milestone, a covert operation completed, a skill mastered, a mission executed flawlessly. To the untrained eye, it looked like a standard-issue jacket. To those who knew, it was a declaration of competence, a silent badge of authority. And that patch, the one now catching the Admiral's attention, was proof that she belonged here, even if no one else realized it yet. Memories flashed through her mind, late nights in the simulator, code sequences memorized until muscle memory took over, and the countless times she had been underestimated simply because she didn't fit the expected mold. Every failure she had ever endured, every door closed to her, had led her to this moment. Now, standing in front of the Admiral, the culmination of all those hidden struggles and relentless preparation was about to reveal itself. The officers, still tense, shifted uneasily. They didn't understand the weight of what they were seeing, the years of unseen effort encapsulated in a single patch. She didn't need to argue or explain. Her presence and the symbol on her shoulder spoke louder than any words could. The Admiral, however, did understand. His eyes lingered on the insignia, recognition dawning slowly. A flicker of respect crossed his face, subtle but unmistakable. He knew the protocols, the risks, and the rare few who could achieve this level of proficiency. She was one of them. And that realization changed everything in the room. The Admiral stepped closer, his sharp eyes locked on the patch as if reading a secret code only a few could decipher. Around them, the crowd of officers and personnel held their breath, sensing that something extraordinary was unfolding. The guards who had been ready to arrest her paused mid-step, their hands still hovering uncertainly near their holsters. Finally, the Admiral's lips curved into a small, deliberate nod. "She's cleared," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Stand down." Confusion rippled through the crowd. "Cleared? But sir, she wasn't on any roster," one officer protested, his disbelief evident. The Admiral raised a hand, silencing him. "That patch," he said, gesturing to her shoulder, "represents clearance and credentials few are authorized to possess. She's not impersonating anyone. She's among the few trusted to operate in these circumstances. Arresting her would have been a mistake." A stunned hush fell over the assembly. The tension that had gripped the base moments before dissolved into murmurs of astonishment. Eyes turned to her, some filled with awe, others with lingering skepticism, but all now tinged with a dawning respect. She exhaled quietly, a mixture of relief and quiet triumph washing over her. Every hour of grueling training, every unseen accomplishment, every whispered doubt she had endured, all of it had led to this moment. She had proven, without words, that she belonged. The officers who had reached for their handcuffs now stepped back, faces flushed with embarrassment. A few nodded respectfully, recognizing the error without needing to be told the details. Her presence had shifted the entire dynamic of the base. She was no longer just another figure in uniform. She was someone whose reputation, though largely hidden, commanded authority. The Admiral, meanwhile, continued to study the patch for a moment longer. Then he turned to her and said, "I expect a full briefing on your current assignment. And, welcome." His tone carried weight, but also an unexpected warmth, a rare acknowledgement in a place built on discipline and protocol. As she followed him toward the briefing room, whispers followed her steps. Stories of the young woman who had nearly been arrested were already spreading, mingling disbelief with admiration. She walked tall, every step a quiet affirmation of her dedication and skill. This was more than vindication, it was a statement. Appearances could deceive, but ability, determination, and the right credentials could never be ignored. And in the heart of the naval base, a lesson was silently reinforced. Never underestimate someone whose true identity is hidden behind what others assume to be ordinary. The patch had told the story, one of courage, skill, and recognition that was hard-earned but unmistakable.